Hello. Today I'm going to talk about my top 10 Western occult books. Now, I should clarify that I will also do a video later on my top 10 Eastern occult books. So this is not everything. This is kind of half, the West half. And I'm also going to do a video on my top 10 Western alchemy books as well as top 10 Eastern alchemy books. So if there's something on this list that you think should be on here and it's not, it might be on one of those other lists. But anyway, if you like my list, or if you like anything I say in here, you can like and subscribe to the video and hit the bell for notifications. But let's start. I'm going to say first that this list is just books that had a profound impact on me. Obviously, each person gravitates to different things, so maybe my list might be very different than your list. But these are books that hit me at certain times and definitely propelled me into new directions. I should also say that some of these books are more kind of novice or introductory books, while other ones are more advanced. So let's get started. At number 10, we have the Rosicrucian Cosmo Conception by Max Heindel, first published in 1909. It presents a spiritual and metaphysical perspective on the nature of the cosmos, human evolution, and the spirit realms from the viewpoint of the Rosicrucian tradition. Okay, so first thing I'll say about this book is this would fall into more of the advanced category. I don't think this is a good entry book into the occult. However, I think if you get into alchemy and you get into the Rosicrucian mindset, I think this book is awesome, and it really breaks down almost an alternate reality than what we've been told. Sort of historical reality, I guess, or physical reality. I'm not sure how to put that, but it's an explanation of the conception of the cosmos. So it does not fit into what you know, or what you think you know. But I think it's kind of riveting to see a different viewpoint of the hierarchy of animals and people and souls and all the physical spirits and things like that. I think this book nails it. I think it is a beautiful book too. This is my copy here, and yeah, I mean, it has nice charts and things in it for you to kind of used to help you get your head around the ideas. I mean, this guy Heindel really likes to make hierarchies, so there's a lot of hierarchies. Now, I think a lot of his ideas obviously stem from Rosicrucianism, but some of it, yeah, I'm not sure if it's real or not, but I think it's fascinating. So that's my number 10. At number 9, I have a fiction book called The Magus by John Fowles, first published in 1965, and it tells the story of a young teacher who becomes involved with a reclusive millionaire and is drawn into a world of psychological and mystical manipulation. This is my only 100% fiction book on here. There's another entry that's sort of a combination of autobiography and fiction, but in this case, a friend of mine gave me this book. Actually, he did not give me this book. He recommended this book. He gave me a different book, which I'll mention later. But if you've ever read Steppenwolf by Hermann Hesse, there's a kind of a similar thing going on here. I think this is a good book to read if you're going down the rabbit hole and you're kind of starting out with an interest in deeper matters like the occult or sort of esoteric ideas. I think this illustrates very well the way in which reality can be kind of pulled out from underneath you and almost if you've ever had a spiritual teacher, you know that in order to teach this kind of thing, it almost has to be done in a tough love kind of way and in layers. And that's one thing that this book does well, is there's this kind of onion story that has many, many layers. And you never really know what is reality as it goes along. It does a really good job of having you being the protagonist, getting kind of taken into this mystery. And I also think it's just a good book as far as fiction is concerned. It definitely keeps you engaged and you don't know where the story is going at all. I'm going to do a video on Steppenwolf at some point, Hesse's book, but yeah, I think this is a good number 9. Number 8, I have Cosmic Trigger by Robert Anton Wilson, first published in 1977. It explores the author's experiences with altered states of consciousness, conspiracy theories, and his involvement in the counterculture movements of the 1960s and 70s. And this book is a combination of fiction and autobiography. Now, I should say it might be a little bit dated. For my younger viewers, he's a little boomer. I'm more Gen X, but he's definitely boomer. And it has that kind of counterculture, Timothy Leary kind of thing going on. But as far as the ideas of his presentation of the altered states of consciousness and the conspiracy theories, I think they're spot on. And I think it's an entertaining book. I also think this could be a good entry point into esoteric circles. But, the alien part, I myself do not believe in physical aliens, but I do think that they're probably kind of trans-dimensional beings or beings at a different vibration than us. So some of that I kind of agree with, but some of it I think is a little bit ridiculous. Yeah, otherwise I think this book is pretty solid, and I think it's a good entry point. At number 7, we have The Book of the Law by Aleister Crowley. It's the foundational text of Thelema, a spiritual and philosophical system created by him. It was written in 1904 and serves as a central scripture for the Thelemites, containing mystical and philosophical teachings. I am not a Thelemite. I've known several of them over the years. I knew one very well, but I've also known some tangentially. And I just never really got on with that philosophy, although I do think there's a lot of great things in Crowley's work, and I'll talk a little bit more about it later in the video. But in this case, the Book of the Law, some people might think this should be higher on the list. I think it's a little bit difficult to penetrate, although I do think there's some great things in here, and I think it's something that everybody should read at least once. He supposedly channeled this book from his higher self in Egypt, and yeah, I think it could be. It almost has a feeling of Revelations, that kind of feeling. So I could definitely see that, and there's definitely some mysterious things in here. However, if you're getting into magic and this, you buy this, I think you might be a little bit disappointed, because I think you need more background to be able to understand at least a quarter of this book, so let alone the whole thing. So I don't think this is a good entry level book. I think it's better for someone that has more knowledge, but it definitely belongs on the list because it has had such an influence on so many writers and people that I couldn't leave it off. Number 6 is Condensed Chaos by Phil Hine, first published in 1995, and it offers an introduction to chaos magic and provides insights, techniques, and perspectives for practitioners interested in this modern magic. Now, I think this book is great, but my one caveat on that is that the next book in my list I think is better, And if you were to choose one of the two, I think I would choose the next one. However, I got a lot from this book, and I personally, I think, gravitate more to chaos magic than the kind of ceremonial Golden Dawn kind of stuff in general. So there's a lot in this. He has a lot of interesting ideas about meta technology and quantum sorcery and the multiverse, which I think are all very 1990s kind of ideas. So maybe the book might be a little bit dated. I'm not sure. I haven't read it in several years. But when I did read it, I did like the kind of practical applications that I got from it. And, you know, I'm a big fan of sigils. And I think, you know, in this book and the work of Austin Osman Spare, sigils are kind of the foundation of chaos magic, in my opinion. So you can change a lot by doing them, and I think this book has other techniques, so I recommend it. And at number 5, I have LIOL and Psychonaut. It's a 2-part book by Peter J. Carroll, first published in 1987, and it also delves into chaos magic. Now I think this is the better book of the two, and you know, it's split up into two kind of halves, and the first half takes the kind of hermetic tradition or the ceremonial magic tradition and kind of strips away all the dogma and makes it very practical, which I appreciate. And the second half, the Psychonaut part, is more about using these techniques and the revelations you can get, or the understanding you can achieve from using them. And yeah, I mean, I just think chaos magic is more interesting to me than a lot of the older forms. And, you know, God, now thinking about it, it's more than 40 years old, but it feels more relevant somehow to me. Maybe there's other things out there now that I'm not aware of, I'm not sure, but I still think it kind of holds up, especially for someone that might have a little bit of idea of what magic is, but it could be a good introduction, but into a kind of a serious way. I also think a lot of the anarchist writers of this time got a lot from these two writers. I know one of the anarchists that I was always very fond of was Hakim Bey, and yeah, I mean, this is it. You know, it's just the way it is. So at number 4, I have the Crowley Tarot, the Handbook of the Cards by Akron, Aleister Crowley, and Hajo Banzhaf. It offers an in-depth exploration of tarot reading with the Crowley Thoth Tarot deck, including rich symbolism, correlations to various fields, and insightful interpretations for different aspects of life, along with practical guidance on card spreads and a tarot terminology dictionary. And it's from 2002. So I adore this book, and I think it's invaluable to anybody, A, that is interested in the tarot, and B, anybody that is interested in Hermeticism in general. But if you want to know more about this book, I have another video. It's my top 10 tarot decks, and I discuss it more in that video. But I'm going to basically just say that I've had this book for a long time, so long that I had to make it into a binder because it just fell apart. But I actually like it as the binder better because I can hold it open and while I'm doing a reading, so it's very useful. But there are many great things about this book. Can give you like a general reading, a consciousness reading. There are different kinds of interpretations. There's analogs and mythology, cult sites, fragrances that go along with each tarot card. I mean, they really did their homework in not just taking information from Crowley's Book of Thoth book, but also all of the analogs from all the different other oracle systems like the I Ching and runes and things, and kind of combining it into one book. I use this book often. There's things on alchemy and astrology in here. All the symbolism of the Crowley Tarot cards are decoded in here. I think that this is probably one of the greatest translators of occult thought that I've ever read. It's almost a bit of a Rosetta Stone in some ways, and I think it is invaluable, and I would check it out. At number 3, we have The Middle Pillar by Israel Regardie and Chick Cicero. It's the expanded and annotated edition. The original version of The Middle Pillar exercise was published in 1938, and this is the 1998 expanded version. The reason I like this version is Cicero adds a lot of visualization techniques and diagrams, and I think it fleshes out Israel Regardie's ideas, which are based off of Aleister Crowley's ideas, which are based off of Golden Dawn ideas. But I think this is one of the most important books to have because it teaches you how to defend yourself against kind of psychic warfare and to center yourself and to learn how to visualize. And in visualizations, that's one of the ways that magic can happen, through the strength of your visualizations and the emotions that you tie to them, I think. And yeah, I mean, I first came across this book when I was doing a lot of meditation in my late 20s, I guess it was, early 30s, around there. I was in Portland, and I lived in an apartment, and I had a walk-in closet, and I made it kind of light-proof, and I dived in there a lot. And this book was almost like my handbook. So I think there's a lot in here. If you like this, I also think his book, The Garden of Pomegranates, is also very good, so I recommend that as well. At number 2, we have Book 4 by Aleister Crowley, and this is a comprehensive guide to the philosophy and practice of Thelema, written and compiled between 1912 and 1921. I got this book around the same time as I got The Middle Pillar, and it was a nice companion book to that, whereas The Middle Pillar was more exercises with detailed diagrams. This was a little more abstract, but also a lot of good insight here. And you know, he gets a bad rap, I think, Crowley does, but I choose to take what I want from his work, and I think there's a lot there. He's one of the most brilliant mystics of at least the last 150 years, probably, in my opinion. But, you know, he had kind of a controversial life, and a lot of people think he's full of shit. And I don't. I've read many of his books, and I like some more than others, and maybe he's not a great role model in some ways, but there is a lot of concrete information in his work, and especially in this book. There's a lot of stuff about yoga and just different ways to look at magic. Your outlook, I think, is very important. And one of the things I do appreciate about Crowley is he was always pushing the envelope to learn more and to mutate and to change more. So in that way, I think he's a genius. Now, some of the ways that he did that maybe weren't the most ethical, or, you know, maybe they caused kind of personal wreckage around him. But, you know, I also think that he had a lot of great influence on people around him as well. Many people wrote other books, were, you know, influenced by his work, including Israel Regardie and Jack Parsons and many other people. So, including all the rockers, you know, from the 60s and 70s, Jimmy Page, Mick Jagger, the filmmaker Kenneth Anger, all of them got a lot from Crowley. So it's hard to dismiss his impact, but I think this book is great, so you should check it out. My final book on the list at number 1 is The Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall, and it's a comprehensive and encyclopedic overview of esoteric and mystical knowledge, published in 1928. And here is my copy. I've had this for several years, and I mentioned earlier that a friend gave me a book. This is the one that I meant to say, not the Magus. He recommended the Magus. But he gave this to me as a present, and I talk about it at length in another video. But I'll just say this here, that this is definitely the greatest book on magic and the occult in history, I think. Partly because it's an encyclopedia, and so you want to know about anything, you look it up, and it's there. And, you know, I got to see this, the bigger edition, and if you reference the other video I'm talking about, I talk all about it at the Rittman Library. It was beautiful, it was amazing. But yeah, this book is great. It covers everything from alchemy to ceremonial magic, to elementals, even Native American things, lots of different kinds of magic. And it's also a very good alternate history, let's say, of the world. Many of the people that he mentions in here, you know, you have one idea of them from history, but then he tells a different idea of them. And I almost think that you cannot actually know the history of the world if you just take a history classes, unless you read this. And probably the Golden Bough as well. Those two books put all of it into perspective. And yeah, I mean, I suppose I could put the Golden Bough on here, but I think someday I'll probably do a mythology top 10, so I'll leave it for that. But yeah, I would check this out. That's the top of my list. And that's about all I have on this list. If you can think of anything else that should be on here that I either forgot or you think is better than what I have on here or more applicable, you're welcome to comment below. And also, if there's something you want to say about any of these books, I would appreciate your insight. I love hearing about how these books have influenced people. You know, I have a friend that really loves the secret teachings, and we talk about it all the time. So yeah, I'd like to hear about that. Anyway, that's all I got. The other videos I have about Eastern occult books and Western and Eastern alchemy will probably come in the next few months, I'd say. So anyway, have a good day. Take care.